learn to build something smarter than before. Not just points, it's aligned to clear better leads, better teams right here. It's Lead Scoring Monday, you know the vibe. Fixing what's broken, bringing it to life. Showdowns, labs, and quick fix flair. Casey's in the hot seat, see you there.
On the road to better scores, let's build what actually opens the door. On the road to better scores, let's build what actually opens the door.
Good morning, LinkedIn. Welcome to the first in a series of lead scoring videos I'll be doing today, Monday, August 25th. And that is because this is the last lead scoring Monday before the scoring property sunset on August 31st. So if you have not transitioned from the legacy scoring properties to the new lead scoring tool in HubSpot, you have 7 days left, and that's including the weekend. So I'm on a mission today to get you as much information as you need to get started. And then tomorrow, which is August 26th, I'll be hosting a 2-hour live free open session. You can sign up below here or send me a DM, and I'm happy to send you an invite. But during that session, it will be totally open. I'll be there. I'll be there to answer any questions. You can pop in, you can pop out during those 2 hours. You don't have to stay on the whole 2 hours. You don't have to be free those whole 2 hours. However, I think I think the best case scenario would be, if you have the time, is to block those 2 hours off. If you have not already transitioned your score, you haven't completed your score transition, build your new score in the new tool, and then kind of come in as you have questions. You can share your screen if you feel comfortable or if you would like, and I can look at your score and kind of see if you need any tweaks and things like that. But yeah, it's totally open, totally free. Sign up below, DM me. But today, right now, I'm just going to do a really quick overview of the new lead scoring tool. So if you are transitioning, but maybe you started, you got confused, whatever the case may be, let's kind of take a look together at the new tool and see what you might need to know while you are either building a new score in the tool or rebuilding an old score within the tool. So if you haven't gone in here yet, this is going to be under marketing and then lead scoring. This is available, I believe, to marketing and sales hub subscriptions if you have professional or enterprise. If you see a little lock here, you might, or a little arrow actually, you might need to upgrade. I think if it's an arrow, you need to upgrade. If it's a lock, you may not have access to it, which is a permissions thing. So you'll need to talk to whoever manages your permissions. Once you're here, you can go in and create score. There is this create score with AI. This is something maybe I'll test in a future session. I admittedly haven't done a lot of testing on this, but I'm also admittedly a little bit of a control freak. So a lot of times I've been building them manually for that reason. Once you go to create, if you're rebuilding, you'll definitely want to just create score. Now you'll have the option to choose who you'd like to score. The options here are contacts, companies, and deals. Heads up, I've noticed if I do not have a sales seat, I might not be able to create deal scores. So check that out, and you might need a sales seat in order to do that. As of today, August 25th, 2025, that may change in the future. Who knows? And then you'll be choosing whether you want to score contacts or companies. If you're moving from the legacy scoring properties, all you need to think about is was that score a contact score on the contact record, or was that score built on the company record? And that's what you would choose here. Now, if you're rebuilding an old score, contact fit score is basically what your old score was. The contact fit score is going to be all of the properties on the contact record, and that's pretty much what you could do with the old legacy score. The part that's new about the news tool is we also have the option to do contact engagement scores to measure based on behaviors on your website with your marketing activities, things like that. This part is fairly new. So if you were using a workaround to count the number of form submissions or the number of marketing emails opened or clicked or anything like that, the contact engagement score makes this more dynamic. Instead of saying things like, if marketing emails clicked is 1, add 1 point. If marketing emails is 2, then 2 points. If marketing email is above 5, give 5 points, things like that. Now we can score based on each marketing email opened rather than having these like weird long list of like each possible combination. And you can also do things like that based on page views and whatever other activities you may have. But the fit score is going to be what most of your legacy score was based on, which was the properties. And that includes number of marketing emails opened. I personally usually build a separate engagement score and a separate contact fit score. I have a ton of content on that. So if you would like to know more about why, but just for this demo today, I'm going to do a combined score just to kind of show how both of those scores work. Your event groups, when you click there, that's going to be those behavioral events, those things like marketing emails, opens, form submissions, things like that. So for right now, I'll go ahead and add my event group. You can see I have the option to set a score limit all the way up to 10,000. This was because people were getting a little frustrated not being able to you might have had a score of 500 or more. So you have options here to go all the way up as far as you want. Now I'm going to add an event criteria. So I've been talking about marketing emails. I actually don't like to score based on marketing emails activities because it can be a little wonky with cookies and with like spam checking of your emails. So I'm not going to use that one today just for this, but what I might use is web events, pages visited, add filter, and then I'm going to do URL for today. URL path contains pricing demo contact us. And what this URL path is going to look at is this URL. So the base of my URL is, in this case, app.hubspot.com, but everything based after this is what I am going to be scoring on in this URL path. So in this case, I'm checking if people have visited my pricing, my demo, and my contact us pages. Those specific phrases are going to depend on your website and how it's built. So you'll want to check those pages and see what the actual page URLs look like. But for this demo, we'll take a look at that. And then I'm going to add 1 point. Maybe I'll do 2 points for every time they visit one of these pages. And I can choose to score every time or limit to, let's say, 10 in this case. I don't really want their score to be like overtaken if they just keep loading and loading and loading the same page. So I'm going to add a limit here. I'm also going to add a time frame. I'm only going to score those visits in the last 7 days because that's showing like immediate buying interest, not necessarily like did they visit the pricing page 2 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever. And that is generally how I like to build my engagement scores. I can add more event criteria here, and this is going to give me more pages visited. So maybe this time I'm going to do my URL path contains blog, and I'll add 1 point, and I could do the same time frame here. Maybe this one I might do the last 30 days because the blog visits are a little less intentful, and so on and so forth. If I remove this time frame, I'll also have the option to decay my score and reduce the score, let's say, by 50% every month. I will say I generally don't use the scoring decays because the math is kind of complicated. My friend Danielle Urban made a post a couple days ago about how complicated the DK math can get. And I find it just causes confusion with your team on why the scores look the way they look, versus the timeframes are much more straightforward. You only get points if you're within that time frame. However, if you want to try DKing, that's an option for you as well. If you add more events, you'll see all of the options you have for types of events you can score based off of. Form submissions is going to be a popular one. Also, you might want to do things like meetings. I find this to be really important too, as well as you can use workflows as a scoring criteria. Now let's add a property group so I can show you how that works as well. And it's going to be very similar. So I'm going to choose the object I want to score on. If I'm scoring based on the contact records, I'll choose that, but I can also score based on associated companies and any other objects I have in my CRM. Today, I'll just do my contact, and then I'm just going to do job title contains HubSpot Superstar 100 points. And this is going to be like any list you'd create. So I have all of those options, starts with, contains, equals to, any of that, or even is known. So you can just add however many points for that property. There is no DK and there is no time frame on these because these are properties. They don't have a time frame or a DK or anything like that. So we'll just score based on that. I can add a group limit here if I want as well. So I can say limit this full group to 50 points. And the reason I might do that is if I added another form submission criteria. Form name is any of, let's do session registration. And let's do this to be 50. If I didn't want this to my engagement scores here to overrun my entire score, I can use these group limits. I'll be talking more about group limits later today because there was a new beta that was just released about them. I'll be talking about that at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, so we know about 90 minutes. Feel free to join that if you would like to learn more about that, or watch the recording if that is better. Let's score. I can add on more properties. I can also add list membership criteria, and then I can add other objects. So if I want to say the company, country is equal to Canada, Mexico. If you're just doing work in North America, you might want to do something like that. And maybe that's a score of 10 for you. The actual scores are going to really depend on your organization and how important each of these things are to you. I talk a lot more about that in my free Masterminds program. If you sign up below, happy to talk more about that or point you to some content specifically around how to look at what these points are. Those are the basis of the two types of scores, if I can spell right. And you can kind of add on to there as well. And you can add more property groups and event groups. For example, I like to have a specific group for what I call bottom of funnel events, top of funnel events, and then middle of funnel events. So my top of funnel might be submitting my demo form, or my bottom of funnel might be submitting my demo form. My top of funnel might be a blog visit, and the middle might be visits to the page without actually submitting the form. For fit scores, I might break those out into contact fits and company fit scores just to keep things a little more organized as well. But you can keep adding on there. Another thing I really like about the new score is you have this option, contacts, to choose a list of contacts to exclude. So historically, we have been doing kind of workarounds for this by saying negative 500 points if job title is equal to consultant or something like that. Instead, now we can just exclude all of like our bad targets or people we don't want to target in this score. You might even, if you want to exclude customers because you have a specific customer score, that would be the place to do that as well as any partners or vendors, kind of things like that. You can also choose to only score specific contacts the same way. So if you only wanted to score people from a specific event list, you could do that in this as well. In the settings, you'll have the option to change your property label. So score all 25. You'll have the max fit score. Oh, this is the fit score part. So you'll be able to see the fit and engagement scores separately, and then the combined score in this case. And you can also choose thresholds. So what's a hot and medium and low? This part takes a little bit of nuance. Don't have time to get into all of this today, but also check out some of my other content around thresholds and things like that, or just shoot me a DM or join me tomorrow where I'll be open for 2 hours answering any questions you might have. A couple of caveats before I jump off today. The one big piece that is missing, in my opinion, from the new scoring tool is the ability to say and. So in the case of my job title contains HubSpot Superstar, and the company is based in the United States, Canada, or Mexico. I can't do that right now. I have two possible workarounds for that. One is list membership criteria. This is my personal favorite because I can kind of test and control and see if people actually are fitting that. So I'll do an and criteria in a list, and then I will score based on that list membership. The other workaround, if you are using the behavioral or engagement events, is a workflow. So you can score based on a workflow, and then you could just use your and criteria in the workflow and then score people who run through that workflow, and that would be your and criteria. Definitely check out my other content all about this, and then sign up on the website or shoot me a DM if you want to chat live tomorrow, totally free. However many questions I can get to, and then I'll be back on in 90 minutes at 9:30 Eastern to talk more about these group scores and a new beta that was released in regards to those group scores. And then I'll also be back on at 5 p.m. Eastern, where I'll be answering kind of some of the most common questions. I'm certainly going to talk a little bit more in detail about the negative scores. And if you have any other questions, leave a comment here and I'll answer them this afternoon. Shoot me a DM. Also, happy to help as best I can. Have a good day, and hopefully I'll see you in 90 minutes. Bye.
We're live now. Don't miss the score. Join the build something smarter than before. Not just points, it's aligned and clear. Better leads, better teams right here. It's Lead Score Monday, you know the vibe. Fixing what's broken, bringing it to life. Showdowns, labs, and quick fix there. Casey's in the hot seat. See you there.
On the road to better scores, let's build what actually opens the door. On the road to better scores, let's build what actually opens the door.